Welcome to Scouting for Growth, the podcast that explores cutting-edge innovations shaping our future. Today, we are thrilled to have with us a true visionary in the realm of fashion technology and emerging trends. Her name is Eveline Ruehlin. Eveline is a dynamic multilingual innovator coming from Switzerland and actually now working and living in the United States, and top global influencer who stands at the forefront of digital transformation. As a champion of advancements in digital health, artificial intelligence, and fashion technology, she brings a unique perspective on how Gen Z is revolutionizing the fashion industry. With a finger on the pulse of sustainability and the circular economy as well, Eveline offers invaluable insights into smart city design and the integration of AI in fashion. Her expertise spans machine learning, blockchain, quantum, and cybersecurity, making her a leading voice in the ongoing digital revolution that is shaping multiple sectors. In today's episode, Eveline and I are going to cover and take you on a journey through the eyes of Gen Z, exploring how this tech-savvy generation is reshaping fashion trends with their sustainability-driven preferences and digital-first mindset. Well, we will also delve into the exciting world where AI combines a fashion statement and discuss how emerging technologies are transforming not just what we wear, but how we interact with fashion itself, too. So, get ready for a fascinating discussion that bridges the gap between technology and style as Eveline helps us fashion the future through Gen Zers' eyes. Welcome, Eveline, to the Scouting for Growth podcast. Hi, Eveline. Thank you so much for joining me on Scouting for Growth.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much, Sabine. It's really an honor. Thanks for having me.
The pleasure is mine. So, Eveline, let's just get started with some introduction, right? It would be great for our listeners to get to know you a little bit. I know you're an influencer. You are covering a number of topics such as fashion and actually a lot of neuroscience topic as well right now. So let's get into some introduction, understand where you come from and why you are doing what you are doing today.
Okay, yes. I have a varied background, a long background in international relations and international organizations, as well as US government. And most recently, when I did, that's a little over 10 years ago, I worked as, I need to preface all this before I go into the influencer part, because it's actually the basis of why I'm an influencer. I went back to school and studied marketing and decided I didn't know anything. And it was right around the time when social media came on the scene and e-commerce was just introduced. And on the basis of, I went to Georgetown University. I took on a project for my class in social media and website design. And we did one in fashion with, I actually had the first e-commerce website in fashion. One of the first, let's put it that way. So it was fascinating to prove that social media can, the inbound of social media, inbound traffic can prove how quickly you can sell and get recognition. And I was able to do that. So fast forward, the pandemic hit, and I wasn't doing any influencing before that. I started influencing, and that's So I've only been not very long on LinkedIn, but I have been on Twitter. I was maybe 4 years now, and on LinkedIn close to 3 years. So it's a pleasure. I truly enjoy it, and yeah, I started doing it in neuroscience, which fascinates me from the perspective of smart textiles in fashion and adaptive clothing and so forth. But I don't know where you want me to start, but I can start with what
Yeah.
I am doing, influencing in neuroscience and fashion. Neuroscience is uh, it, it actually, AI is immolating the brain, and I decided already when at the time of influencing that I need to be influencing in neuroscience as well.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in smart textiles, coming from Switzerland, growing up with neighbors who had textile companies, and they already then functional textile was a big thing. It always was. Switzerland was quite advanced in textile manufacturing, and so that was part of something I grew up with, and I always liked and was fascinated by. So my decision right at the beginning of starting to influence was with neuroscience, and I'm also it's just fascinating how the brain works, and basically to bring it together at the convergence of smart textiles and neuroscience, sensor tech. Wearables, it's all integrated and converges in fashion so beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
And
I
I've been
can agree with that. Actually, it's interesting because you mentioned that you come from Switzerland, and I was just in Switzerland for the past 2 days, in Zurich, organizing some events and now running some workshop. But the key thing about your thesis is this alignment between neuroscience and fashion. And as we know, there's a blurred line amongst a lot of industries today, where even in finance and I'm in insurance, I'm fascinated by what you do in fashion. When an insurer look at the fashion industry and the manufacturing industry, they are looking at smart technology, but also at smart fashion, and to see as to how and whether they want to insure those organizations, because the world is changing and sustainability is critical in everything we do today. So looking at, your journey, Eveline, right? You are looking at top emerging technologies every day in your work as a brand ambassador. What does that mean? And how do you do this to still remain neutral in your point of view as an influencer?
um you 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 just state the facts. I mean, the science drives this beautifully from my perspective, especially in neuroscience. I mean, they've been predicting this with AI going where it's going now, and brain computer interfaces, near eye computer interface. All this is coming, and we're moving into spatial computing. It's very easy to be neutral. You state the facts. You state the beautiful, the phenomenal studies that are out there, and what's converging with fashion. Like actually, fashion. There is a famous Dutch designer, Iris van Herpen, and she has been in this space at the convergence of technology and fashion design for many years. She's done 3D fashion designs in just beautiful, most phenomenal ways, and even going into organic textiles now. It's absolutely fantastic. And there is another one. Ministry of Supply is a company out of Boston. They're also at the convergence of technology and fashion. They're two engineers from MIT who are designing comfort business wear. You can actually, in their business wear, you can actually go jogging. You can do all kinds of things. It's they're at the intersection of all this, and I see Iris van Herpen and the Ministry of Supply. They're really representing what I love in fashion so much: the convergence of technology and fashion.
So,
And yeah.
what I was going to ask you then, Eveline, is how did you come about from, where you started to looking at that convergence? What got you at some point to say, right now, I want to see the pivotal changes affecting our industry, and I am going to actually try to understand that convergence between technology and fashion. When did that start? When did you get the haha moment?
The aha moment was actually at the um, designing my own clothes, actually, together with a designer from Project Runway. I saw I I saw the beautiful craft of pattern making, but then I also with e-commerce at the time, I I saw the integration of technology. And what I was studying at the time at Georgetown University, marketing, they were right there at the forefront teaching this of embedding hyperlinks in your websites. But to go back, I always admire the beautiful art of pattern making in fashion, and that needs to be brought to the fore here because it's not appreciated enough. People study 6 years to become a fashion designer. I am not a fashion designer. I just dabbled in it from a technology perspective and marketing perspective. But that should never be lost. That beautiful art should never be lost. I call it art. And I think it will survive, even though there is Gen A design. There are so many digital designers now out there designing beautiful things. There is a 3D designer I very much like Steffi Fang. She's doing brilliantly, I mean, very beautiful designs in fashion, and she works together with Saikai. I think that's a digital fashion house, also a marketplace where digital designers can. But the aha moment was, yes, was exactly there when I was dabbling myself, trying to design some things and learning how to make the pattern making of actual fashion clothes. That's where the aha moment was.
Would be surprised, but my dad is a modelista, so he worked with the top fashion design house in Paris and created the first prototype. And so the interesting thing is for me is what is your view between traditional design, where you have a traditional pattern maker, taking the design from the designer, creating the first prototype for the catwalk or prêt-à-porter, and then the digital design where now you can do everything with CAD technology. So do you think we are going to all be using CAD type technology and using computers to do the design of the most beautiful pieces of clothing or the fashion house? Because my father did work in luxury fashion houses, right? Where, as you said, is about the detail. Do you think there is still a space for
Yes,
niche design?
it's going to have to. It's probably going to be in haute couture.
Haute couture.
I see Dior is doing still. I mean, I see beautiful videos, educational videos they're doing on dentelle and how to attach beautiful accessories it's just there is nothing like that. That's a total art, and that will never go away, in my opinion. The details are key, I think, here, where the craft will, like beautiful hats. They're handmade. They're still not well. A lot of it can be machine made, but the best quality is still handmade, in my opinion.
Yeah,
there is, and maybe it's just gonna be in haute couture and specialty shops. I don't know exactly. With leather goods, for sure, it's still there. The best shoes are handmade. I mean, and they last forever. And it's a quality that comes with it that lasts forever. And I hope it never goes away, but I think I still see it there. I don't see it going away.
It's interesting, right? Because we believe and we hope it never goes away. And as you are talking, it feels like the segment of the market, right? That niche segment which can afford that very luxury handmade design will shrink, right? It will only be for the elite. And I wonder whether we can actually still appreciate a bit like art, right? Like painting. We go to a museum, we appreciate art, whether we can actually still make this available to, the wider mass market audience. But I know, Eveline, that you have moved from Europe to the United States. Can you tell us a little bit more about why you did this, right? What got you to, I guess, be multilingual and to actually move from Europe to the United States and probably focus on trade and diplomatic affairs, I think I read somewhere.
Yes. Well, I got a job at the United Nations in New York, and in those days, I wasn't even a member of the UN. And due to my multilingualism, in those days, I was speaking quite fluently multiple languages. Right now, I'm not using them ever, or very rarely. Yes, I use a little bit of French.
Un petit peu de français, bien
But
sûr.
merci, oui. Yes, but it was the most. I was right out of college and learning, and I had a fabulous job actually right out of college to get to know the entire system at the United Nations. I was a conference officer and the liaison with the delegations, various delegations from all over the world. I worked in the General Assembly, and I worked in the social ECOSOC, social, economic and social committees in different, the Security Council as well. And it was a fascinating experience, and taught me a lot to listen, to sit down and listen to another person's opinion. Listening was very important, but also the linguistic barriers to cross those barriers was really a beautiful thing, and it was very congenial, even though you may not agree with that person. It's still a place where people talk and meet and draft resolutions. And that's where the multilingual aspect is beautiful, and which can be used in international diplomacy in today's world as well, still. And even though you have artificial intelligence translating everything for you almost in real time, I think it's still important to understand different cultures, make an effort, the empathy. If you speak another person's language, then you understand their culture better, and therefore you communicate better. There is an empathy and understanding that comes with it, and that will help you on a diplomatic level for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting when you start talking about diplomacy because, language is just part of the communication. And what you actually highlighted is to be able to understand, you need to actually be able to listen. And often listening is just not listening to the words only, it's about listening to the physical behavior and the tone of voice. It's looking at much more cues than just voice, right? Evelyn, right? And so, how do you use this in your everyday work? Because I know you go to conferences still often to really understand what's going on in our industries.
Yeah, well, I think I sort of at the UN, it it also brings a natural ability when you're in settings like that to read people, and so it has helped me, like going to conferences, in board meetings, the listening part, and observing carefully what someone is saying. It has helped me, the multilinguistic aspect of this, and the experience at international organizations. I also worked at the IMF in exchange and trade relations,
Mhm.
and yeah, I've enjoyed, had a fantastic background and work experience in this country. I love America, and I'm a US citizen, and yes. But I also
Congratulations.
Switzerland, I love Switzerland too. Switzerland gave me a lot. So
And I do enjoy your country. I do enjoy going. As I said, I was in Zurich just yesterday and I did enjoy Lake Zurich. It was still a very nice, not just autumn, but a very nice few days in Zurich where, people are amazingly kind and the energy is high, still in technology, actually, Evelyn. So my next question to you is going into digital health because I've seen you write, as I said, not just about fashion, but also about digital health and artificial intelligence and the impact of AI on the digitization of healthcare. And I like your point of view because you tend to often go into neuroscience and try to actually explain to us the power of neuroscience and the actually you said beautiful, but the tech for good, right? How AI can be used for good in digital health. Can you tell us why you became a champion of healthcare and artificial intelligence? And can you give us some highlights as to where you see it going in the next few years?
yes, digital health. Yeah, thank you. Digital health. I'm not an expert per se. I am only from looking at it always from the fashion point of view. But where digital health is, especially with AI and now quantum computing on the horizon, uh, we are going to find so many cures. AI has influenced, sped up and replaced and helped so many doctors, especially during the pandemic. Uh, it's there, and education wise, from an educational standpoint, surgeries can be done online, can be done by a doctor in a different country. The digitization of the industry is phenomenal. I think they're at the forefront. Together, I always say together with fashion, but because that's my true love. But yes, with sensor tech and neuro, everything. AI is emulating the brain, trying to emulate. It hasn't figured it out all the way yet, and I think it will never, because there are new studies every day coming out of about consciousness, about finding cures for Alzheimer's, where memories are stored, and how olfaction, for instance, going into fashion, that's a huge one, how that works. I was actually, when I studied in Geneva, I was a nose for La Maison Firmenich. I was trained, they trained me as a nose. Yeah. So olfaction is a very big issue for me, and I love how it influences your well-being, and digital health is picking up on that. They're now perfumeries, not just digital in digital health. Perfumeries are working together with health experts in trying to like for mental health purposes, all the scents that are so important that can change a person's well-being and attitude even.
Yeah.
That that is an interesting part too. So yeah, and what we eat, digital health and nutrition. I mean, it's huge. It's amazing from surgery to sports to adaptive fashion. I see digital health everywhere. It's really a phenomenal field at the precipice of everything happening, or at the forefront. Let's put it that way. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting because when you're actually thinking about fashion and digital health, for instance, and you mentioned sportswear, the intersection, interestingly enough, right? It's about, making clothes more comfortable. The dress code for women often was wearing heels. And since COVID, all of us are wearing probably more often tennis shoes than heels. And it's interesting how fashion as well is changing, but also how the material of the fashion wear is adapting to make it a bit more comfortable to wear. But also, you mentioned the sensors to actually understand when we are well and when we are less well. The other area you actually just mentioned, which is absolutely fascinating, is the olfactory environment, right? I never thought about perfume and digital health, but actually, we all have our little bottle of scents, lavender scents, to actually make us a little bit more relaxed. And so when you start actually combining that with perfume can then become, because we all wear perfume every single day. So why not actually customize our perfume to help us be healthier and better people, still smell nice, but actually also looking at our internal mental health at the same time. This is actually fascinating field, uh, Eveline. Fascinating, completely interesting area where different industry are connecting with one another.
It's truly where it's headed. I mean, I see it, the future going. You, I see that perfumery, La Maison Firmenich, they're working together with people in wellness, and it's already becoming a wellness company. Even it's incredible. I see the shift happening, and the convergence of digital health and fashion. I see it. It's a beautiful thing, and wellness. It's so key going forward, because we do need to take breaks from being online. We should be taking breaks, especially with the new Apple Vision Pro. That's going to be so immersive, but I with the convergence of Web3, AI, and it's going to offer an interoperability. That's another. I'm talking about the future here. Spatial computing is definitely going to be fabulous. You can go from one platform to the other. There is the interoperability we don't have. The metaverse, it's all NFTs are nascent still, and definitely spatial computing is going to help with the sense too, the well-being, the digital health, education in digital health, education in other sciences. It's just fantastic. But yes, I see the future going more into wellness, just to get back, because we need to take more breaks from digital being online.
Yeah, I was talking to a doctor just a few days ago. She was explaining to me, we are always online, and actually we don't realize, but we are supposed every day to use seven senses, seven, different things in our brain and mind, our body. And with digital, we're only using five. So we are numbing four of them, or we are numbing two of them, actually. And so two which are actually completely critical for us to be balanced, creative, and fully rounded. Often, when you think about mental health issues, they often link to too much digital interaction, people getting sad and upset, and people getting stressed by what they see online. So those digital breaks will be absolutely critical. But as you said, as we are moving to a metaverse like environment, being mindful that we cannot wear those goggles for more than a few hours a day will be very critical to actually make sure that people still remain sane and with proper mental brain cells, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, we need mental health is crucial, and especially during COVID, we saw that with the Generation Z and the younger generations, because the loneliness aspect, because that generation really loves to be in groups. They love to be together. And so I'm going already into Gen Z. I'm sorry, I'm
Which is
taking a
great.
little
I mean,
bit of.
that was going to be my next question. So, what's your view on Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and what is our world bringing to them that we just need to be aware of? What are the key generational issues, challenges, and facts we just need to be mindful of when we think about that generation, Eveline? Absolutely great timing.
Yes, um, definitely, because they're very conscientious about the environment. And but they're digital. They're digital natives, and uh, uh, their mental health is a major issue for them. And but it's what the nice thing is, uh, they do things in groups. I mean, going not. I see a lot of Gen Zs together all the time here on Capitol Hill where I live. They do a lot of events together in groups, and I truly, it's an upbeat thing. It's team play. It's fun, and but but they're very smart on how they spend their money. They're very conscientious about the environment, about recycling, and that goes into fashion again too. They're actually they're into bohemian styles from the 70s, into the box style from the 80s with the shoulders, the blazer, the oversized blazer type, wearing with jeans and a white t-shirt or a whatever t-shirt. They're very much into comfort and feeling good for themselves. They're online so much, and I'm noticing that the trends are more into work life balance or study uh, life balance type situations. They actually like to pick up a book and read a book again. I've seen that trend too. It's mental health is key to them, and that's more important for them to belong at work is a big issue, and they will leave if they don't feel like they belong in a certain work environment.
Mhm.
And but I see in fashion, their fashion, fintech, they're influencing so much, and they're going to be the wealthiest generation in the next 5 years. So we have to pay attention to their needs and listen. We need to listen to them, and they like advice, and it's definitely a generation. And Gen Alpha is so much fun, but they need reassurance on social media all the time. I wrote an article about the Sephora kids.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
went to
Yeah. Sephora kids. I remember that article.
I went to my log just to preach briefly. I mean, it's that generation Z, and then you have Gen Alpha also in groups working, and these they. But what I see with the Gen Alpha is something that I think is almost a little dangerous. They need reassurance on social media. And they're in these groups coming to Sephora or Ulta Beauty, and they they they're online constantly and taking pictures live. They're right on TikTok or YouTube. YouTube is actually the platform Gen Z prefers. And it's interesting, but the TikTokers are amazing. The Gen Alpha are definitely into TikTok more so than I think Gen Z is. But yeah, it is belonging and to have your identity in the digital world is so important to them. And I see it also with Gen Z. Yes, I think their digital identity is going to be more important than the physical identity.
It's
I'm
fascinating,
starting to see.
actually, digital identity. So you see a digital identity for those for those generations becoming far more prominent digitally than it's going to be on Earth as analog identity, right?
Yes,
Why is that?
yes, and uh, it's because they grow up digitally. I mean, they're online all the time. They're handed tablets from first grade on. I mean, first grade on or kindergarten. I see kids working on tablets and doing little games already. They're they're gamers. And we need to. This is definitely. I love Megan McDowell's article from Vogue. I just posted 2 days ago
Okay.
about how everything is moving into gaming because these children and young adults are growing up digitally and they're gaming all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're and they. I'm doing the gaming industry is booming exponentially, moving into the stratosphere. And it's definitely something you have to pay attention to. And I was asked to speak at Zers in a group for women in tech on passion. Gilbert Revoillant invited me, and he's a fintech gentleman, an expert on fintech. I told him I'm no expert on fintech, but here is what I see happening, and it's absolutely amazing. The so much they're doing on the phone, the in-app payments, the cryptocurrency they're investing in because they see an opportunity there, and with also they're involved with buying skins for their avatars for the games, and most likely, and Tommy Hilfiger is on the forefront there. He invested in AI, I think, in 2018 or even earlier. He realized that they're identifying whatever they are putting on their avatar, they're going to be buying in the stores,
Business stuff.
and so yes, they're most likely going to dress their avatar if they see some fantastic something that sparks their interest. They're going to dress their avatar in that image. So I see tremendous possibilities, but I think that's where these children and young adults and adults are going. They're going to be very comfortable with spatial computing
Yeah.
and this in the symbiotic web, and that's really yeah, and gaming. I mean, this is driving it all, and we just and then that's where the digital health comes in.
Yeah.
Very, it's so. I mean, every uh, mental health advisors. I think their HR is working with mental health advisors on a more regular basis. When I was going working in the 80s, we didn't have anything like that, and there is assistance in today's world, and it's absolutely necessary.
You're absolutely right. Today, most HR within large companies will actually have a remit around mental health because because of remote working also, Eveline, right? Because we tend to work longer hours now. We don't have the 2 hours commute to the office. So partly for remote workers, what you will find is we just need to make sure we have those breaks and we are not digitally connected all the time. So HR, as you said, have a remit around mental health. But what is interesting when you start talking about Gen Zs and Gen Alpha as digital first generation, the ability still to reflect on, sustainability, accepting that, consumption is not the mother of virtue, to actually accept, in your case, also, you mentioned the connection between industries. We are talking about healthcare, fashion, and now we are talking about fintech, right? You talk about payment and gaming, e-gaming, but also gamification in finance is critical to actually drive engagement with individuals. So learning from the gaming industry. And then you highlighted also us being in Web3, being able to use our metaverse, Google's, to actually find what fashion fits us best through our avatar, and then becoming consumers in the non-digital world, on the physical world. Some brands, as you said, have already identified that. I mean, I've heard it from Chanel and Dior, and some of the brands trying to get into the Web3. We have Vivatech in Paris, for instance, and one of the big fashion house at Vivatech is LVMH. And I spent a lot of time on the LVMH stand to really understand where the fashion is going, from putting, makeup on from the brands they own, right, to actually trying clothes and actually feeling so comfortable with this design that, yes, you end up buying them in the physical world. So all these start coming, merging together, which takes me to sustainability, therefore, Eveline, right? We have all this tech, it's creating a lot of energy, right? We are on this all AI world. But what does that mean from a sustainability front, right? When we start looking at all those different ingredients.
Yeah, nothing will be run smoothly if we don't address the energy consumption issue, the massive energy that all these different, like the GPUs that are being designed, need to be designed more energy efficiently. You need the entire energy mix. You need fossil fuels, you need everything, but you can do it all clean. There are carbon capture mechanisms available for fossil fuels, to capture carbon in general. I think fusion will really, we are about to, at Livermore National Laboratory last year, they proved fusion. I mean, the energy of a sun was able to be produced, and I think America is very close to fusion energy. Maybe other nations as well, and they're not talking about it. But Livermore National Lab came out last year, and our Secretary Granholm, Secretary of Energy, came on TV, and it was a major issue. I mean, this is something Einstein and all the brilliant minds in science have been working towards. The small nuclear reactors, the SMRs, are a good option right now. Because they have, as long as they have safe fails and shutoffs, and they do in today's world. The disasters that happened in the past, that's technology was used, like in Fukushima, it was like from the 60s and 70s technology. and Chernobyl. And I mean, yeah. So I am, yes, nuclear can be safe, but I'm really looking forward to fusion. But at this stage in time, for the over the next 10 to 15 years, we've got to use the entire energy mix and use it in a clean manner and most carbon neutral manner.
Very well said.
And
Very well said, Eveline. So, what would be your recommendation to our listeners? You know, looking at your background around fashion, digital health, a little bit of anecdote into fintech as well. You came from Europe, you moved to the United States, and then you're actually influencing, meaning you are an ambassador for technology and fashion, enabling people to really understand the change happening in industry through the mean of technology. What would be your recommendation for everybody listening? What would you like them to remember?
listen to each other, be more environmentally conscious, and yes, be excited about the bright future that's coming, like with spatial computing, so many possibilities, quantum computing. Uh, you're talking of on a molecular level where data is going to be collected. Massive amounts of data can be collected in just seconds, and the entire world is going to change. But we have to be conscientious on our energy consumption, try to be approach the world in a very sustainably conscious manner. That being recycling, trying to recycle, like Generation Z, they're showing us they're upcycling, they're reusing, even fast fashion, Sarah and H&M, they're into resale and using the pre-loved clothing being resold, and they're the real is constantly knocking on my doors too. I'm trying to sell some things and not just throw it out or give it to the goodwill. Give it to the goodwill because we need to help the underserved as well, and that's where I think sustainable finance, and you know all about that. I mean, we need to care about our neighbors, our just get along in this world. I'm hoping for peace and for a long time to come, and not to disagree. Learn how to respect each other, to disagree. Civility, but in a sustainable manner,
Very well
and
said.
an efficient.
And in an efficient manner. Yes, very well said, Eveline. So where can people find you? So if any one of our listeners were looking to
On
LinkedIn,
Twitter, on LinkedIn, yes, or on Twitter as well. And yes, LinkedIn, definitely. I love LinkedIn. I truly love it. I may have been a little obnoxious when I first came on, and I tagged a lot of people, and I noticed not everybody likes that, but it gave me quite a few followers. I didn't try to get thousands of followers, but I really enjoy. It's a very professional platform, and very respectful of each other. I
I do like that
truly
as well.
love
I
it.
do like that as well about LinkedIn. It's interesting you're saying that, right? We met through LinkedIn so that people know we have never met face to face. We've met through LinkedIn. You tagged me, and every so often you tag me. And then when I wake up, I see a message from Eveline where I'm tagged. And so I read the article and I provide my content and my commentary. And so that is a key thing of building digital ecosystems and building digital relationships. We don't know everybody, but we are going to connect with people we trust and people who are actually giving great content. And then we want to our network, right, Eveline? And that's the way we met, actually.
Yes, that's so true. I met you. You made such an interesting comment on neuroscience, and then on my fashion. You noticed what I'm doing. you picked up on it, and I really appreciated that. And there are other people out there, other podcasters who have followed me, and I truly and I very much enjoy my community on LinkedIn. I'm really grateful. It's I couldn't speak higher of it. You can actually you're not being criticized. You can actually disagree in a respectful manner.
And that's the thing.
I really
about disagreeing in a respectful manner. I think X is a little bit different, right? People can be more obnoxious, but on LinkedIn, people can be
yes,
able to disagree in a
yes,
respectful manner. And it is called in France, right? In French, we call that a débat. And so we can debate.
that's the philosophy. I mean, the French philosophy is always drove everything, as far as I'm concerned. Growing up in Europe, the débat on the Seine. I mean, that's where the artists went. That's where the debate was. That's where the creativity came from, and innovation. I mean, we need to keep on doing that.
100%.
That will innovation and creativity forward. And there is so, as long as we do it in an ethical
As long as we do it in an ethical way, indeed.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Eveline, for joining me on Scouting for Growth, and thank you for sharing your insight. And let's continue make a difference on social media.
Thank you so much. I've truly enjoyed it. Very honored to be on. Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Scouting for Growth. Please subscribe, share with friends, and leave a 5-star rating. Your rating is so valuable. I review all of them, and my team help me adapt content to meet your needs. Also, connect with me on my preferred channels. I am a B2B growth expert, so you will find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Threads, and X as well as Blue Sky. All information available below. Until next, keep scouting for growth.